Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have now concluded day 20 of the National Recount exercise, and today completed 82 boxes. Unfortunately, the stations that GECOM promised to establish have not been established. I had several engagements with the chairperson today, and she has informed me and other members of our delegation that tomorrow two stations will be established. So we are holding her to that commitment. So hopefully we get an additional 2 stations tomorrow, and we are hoping that both would be dedicated to the counting of Region 4 ballots, because you know that's the largest number of ballot boxes to be counted, and we really need additional stations because we are far behind the deadline. There is no doubt anymore that the deadline will not be met, the 25 days deadline, even if we get the 2 stations. So GECOM has to now consider extending the time frame, unfortunately, to complete the exercise. Today, again, we saw a major battle to get ballot boxes out of the containers as we approach the 5:30 hour. And that has led me to the conclusion that there are certain elements even within GECOM who are opposed to working to 7 p.m. or maximizing the hours of work to 7 p.m. because at 5:31 4 stations automatically closed, shut off operations, and you could have got, and they would have completed their boxes, and they were refusing to accept new boxes to count, and we had to engage the whole hierarchy of GECOM. Unfortunately, we got a few boxes to be released from the container. In relation to one of them, the APNU agent just packed up and left on the dot of 5:30. And though there was a box in the station to be counted, the supervisor of the station decided not to proceed to open the box simply because the APNU AFC withdrew from the process. So you have these kinds of challenges being erected as you go along on a day-to-day basis, and on a day-to-day basis, in fact on an hourly basis, you have to keep fighting to surmount the various hurdles that are being erected. But slowly and surely, we are getting there. We are coming to the end, and the picture is emerging very clearly. Every box that is being counted, and this has been so from the inception, continues to confirm the statements of Paul in the PPP's possession. Every single boxes. And the boxes that Mingo contaminated, we are able to show you and show the world clearly not only the fraud that he perpetrated, but the magnitude and gravity of that fraud. Hundreds, we are now dealing with thousands of votes that Mingo would have taken. In fact, at this point in time, we have not done the latest analysis, but the latest analysis will show you that Mingo would have, at this point in time, though we would not have completed 100 boxes of the 400 boxes that Mingo interfered with, we would have already passed a seat margin that Mingo would have unlawfully and fraudulently given to the APNU AFC. So that picture is emerging, and the picture of the PPP's statements of poll being proven accurate, that picture is also emerging. And with every passing day, the picture becomes clearer and the picture becomes bigger. And that is driving the APNU AFC into a state of clear desperation. Today I heard a broadcast from Mr. Harmon, and I believe he did that by himself, in a room by himself, because I doubt whether he could have uttered those statements in the presence of anyone. You had to be somebody special to mouth the allegations which he did today on that telecast. He had to have been locked up in a room by himself. Can't do that publicly. And in a room by himself, he still had to wear a mask. He still had to wear a mask, because I don't think he could have said those things with a straight face. We, the PPP, replied in a statement which you may have by now received. But Harmon clearly was laboring under something harmful, something very, very harmful, because he made certain assertions that are clearly demonstrate the utterance of an unhinged individual. Allegations that we have never heard before, he brought to the fore. For the first time now, we are hearing that the ballot paper themselves have now been forged. Well, this is a new one. I mean, you have been here from the beginning. The country has been looking at this thing from the beginning, and we never heard that one. That was a brand new allegation hatched this morning at Congress Place, or wherever Harmon spoke. Ballot papers are now alleged to be fraudulently printed somewhere, I suppose. I don't know how that is possible. If you go into the exercise, you will see that every single ballot paper is projected on an instrument, and there is a security mark that is shown to authenticate the veracity and authenticity of that ballot paper. And not and every ballot is subject to this exercise. And not in a single case has anyone so far detected a false or fraudulent ballot paper being used. So I don't know what influence Mr. Harmon is suffering under, but clearly those utterances did not appear to emanate from a rational mind. Mr. Harmon further stated about poll books missing and papers from one region are found in the boxes of another region. We have been going through all these issues. Look, today I just asked two persons who worked in South Georgetown Region 4, two different stations, and they reported to me that in each station 3 poll books were missing out of 8 boxes each. So 3 boxes did not have poll books. In 2 stations, so that 6 ballot boxes were missing their poll books. But the PNC won those ballot boxes. So you're not hearing the allegations there. They're not projecting them in a big way and putting them on the observation report. But when Harmon is speaking about these allegations, he's leveling them in areas where the PPP got support. And that is the growing mantra. But Harmon has taken it to a different level. In fact, the man has accused the PPP, all the political parties, the other political parties, and GECOM in one grand conspiracy on elections day. I don't know how that is possible. You all are media. You travel the length and breadth of this country on elections day. The international observers were here in their dozens. They were all over the country. You saw Amna Ali and Basil Williams and a whole cabal of them came and met me at Monrepo Primary School. You saw that. They were all over the country. So I don't know how they didn't detect all these things. And at the end of that election day activity, they proclaimed victory. Every single one of them is on public record proclaiming that they won the elections. Now that the count is revealing that they have lost and lost abysmally, they come hatching one preposterous allegation after another to put to the Guyanese people. Mr. Granger was here just a few days ago, and he purports to speak for the coalition. And he did not denounce Elections Day activities, because prior to the recount, on May the 4th, he issued a public statement, which I gave you a copy, and I've quoted from it repeatedly, where he said that the Election Day activities were fair, orderly, and free. Mr. Granger said that. And he says only he speaks for the coalition. Remember when he upbraided Basil Williams across the road there? And he said he speaks for the coalition. Now I see Harman took the president and perhaps threw him upside down. But as I said, they are ridiculous allegations, but they should not be made, because they can do no one any good. And GECOM can't continue to remain silent in the face of this onslaught, because what Harman said there today is that all the thousands of staff that worked for GECOM on Elections Day, Guyanese from all political persuasion, from all ethnicity, from all class and creed, thousands of them worked with GECOM on Elections Day. And all of them are now put in this grand conspiracy with the PPP. And when Harman can only mean that these things happen in PPP areas, because I can't imagine him saying that in relation to PNC areas. But then again, he appeared unhinged, so he may mean that too. I'm not sure. But I hope that GECOM, I spoke to two government-nominated commissioners. No, one of them I spoke to today. And I said, look, a PNC top political leader has just thrown you under the bus, destroying your credibility, absolutely. He has said to the world that you are in a conspiracy with the PPP. You can I don't think you can remain silent for much longer with this type of onslaught. So we are hoping that GECOM would find it fit and proper to respond, as ludicrous as they are, to put the public record straight in relation to those irrational rantings of Mr. Joseph Harman today. And yet, at the end of his rantings, he proclaims to have won the elections. AP, and you still win the elections. So these people, they don't make sense anymore. They don't make sense anymore. After making all those preponderance of allegations of wrongdoing, of fraud, of corruption, of malpractice, the man alleged that PPP somehow stole 80,000 votes so far. Well, if we did all of that, you still won the elections. You still won the elections. And remember, at the end of the day, it is the PPP who agreed to have this recount done. I don't know if the PPP had done all this wrongdoing. And we are here every day. We are fighting every day for the recount to be done properly. We are fighting for more stations. We are fighting for more observer teams to come and observe. We have fought for you to go inside there and observe the process. We have struggled for transparency. All of these things we have done, and we are accused of rigging the elections. Imagine that. Imagine that. And they, who did not want transparency, who did not want cell phone, who did not want live streaming, and who still do not want observers to come to observe, they are the pristine ones. These people are upside down. They are simply upside down. Imagine Harman sitting and telling the world that PPP has a history of rigging elections. There are certain things that you don't say. The world knows that the PNC, it's a documented fact of public notoriety that they rigged the 1968 elections, they rigged the 73 elections, they rigged the 1980 elections, they rigged the 1985 elections, and oh my God, you have the audacity to accuse anyone else, more so the PPP, who has been the victim of the rigging, to accuse the PPP of rigging elections. You have to be of a special pedigree to say that with a straight face. That is why I said he locked himself up in a room and covered his face with a mask, because he couldn't say that and showed his facial expression. So these are the challenges that we will continue to face, and tomorrow, hopefully when we start to produce 100 boxes and it gets closer to the conclusion of the process, the more desperate they will become, because the picture will become clearer that they have lost elections resoundingly. And in any other part of the world, of the civilized world, when that happens, you pack up and you leave. Those are the rules of the game. You don't stay in and hold on to power and play wrong and strong and now want to turn allegations against people like some, you don't do that. But we know, as their history establishes, that they have an allergy to democracy. They are allergic to the rule of law. And that's why they're sneezing. You have allergic reactions. Well, you see Harman there. He reacted. That was his allergy acting up when he see the electoral victory and he saw democracy at work. And the picture is becoming clear that the elections were free and fair and certified to be free and fair by all the international and local accredited observers. So, as I said, the PPP has responded comprehensively to Mr. Harman in a written statement, and that I'm sure you have. So I'll stop here and invite your questions if you have any.
I haven't seen the statement, but is the party, yourself or the party, at all worried that given the pronouncements, plural, that would have been coming out from the APNU side, is the party worried that this process, this Recount process, could find itself being back in court again?
Well, with the APNU, AFC, you cannot rule out anything. These are people who do not play by the game. Suriname has gone to an election today. Suriname will get their results by Wednesday. We went to an election since March the 2nd. We still can't get our results. Why? Because one party has lost and they do not wish to give up the government. We went to elections in 2015. GECOM said that we lost. We disagreed with the results, but we left the government. We behaved like civilized human beings, not like barbarians. We obeyed the rule of law. We obeyed the constitution of the country, and we left the seat of government in a peaceful way. Did not disturb the peace, did not cause any stress or anguish or pain and suffering to the people of this country. Look at what these pack of riggers are doing to Guyana. Have you out here every day? You can't be enjoying this. You should be home with your family. But they have you here. They have you out here from morning till afternoon. Why? To watch ballots being recounted. Do you know how backward we are appearing into the rest of the world? Do you know how uncivilized the world is seeing us? And why? Simply because 30 or 40 people who have lost the elections and who attempted to steal it were caught and they still don't want to give up government. That is what we have to bear that burden. They are Guyanese, and I suspect we have to bear that burden. I remember when I was small, I used to read a paper called Caribbean Contact, and a Barbadian prime minister had said at some CARICOM conference that Burnham is a cross that all Caribbean people have to bear. Well, folks, Burnham's legacy is still with us, and we still have to bear that cross on our shoulders.
In calling on GECOM to defend itself, you as a party would have said that the recount is being done transparently and whatever happened is being unraveled. Why not wait until the end of the process for GECOM to pronounce on what is happening? Or are you worried that the public perception can become so muddy that the results would not be accepted?
I am worried about unnecessary hostilities being excited in our country by political leaders who continue to make irresponsible, baseless accusations and insinuations. And a pack of political leaders who continue to attack the character, reputation, and good standing of tens of thousands of Guyanese. They are accusing every person who participated in the elections of fraud, including some 15,000 voters, including know how many people voted for the PPP, 200 something thousand. They are accusing all those people of a criminal offense, and all those who man the electoral machinery on election day are being accused of perpetrating multiple criminal offenses. You can't continue like that in a society, and GECOM has a responsibility to protect its integrity. I thank you very much.